She fired the single dad in public. Next day she found his secret child. Have you ever made a judgment that changed your life forever? Before we dive into today's emotional journey, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that will touch your heart and change your perspective. The conference room fell silent as Diane Matthews stood over Thomas Bailey, her voice echoing against the glass walls. Your performance has been unacceptable. You've been late 6 times this month, disappeared during critical meetings, and missed 2 important deadlines. I'm sorry, but you're fired, effective immediately. The other employees stared at their screens, pretending not to witness Thomas's public humiliation. His face drained of color as he gathered his few belongings, a photo frame falling from his desk and cracking on the floor. Without a word, he walked out, shoulders hunched under an invisible weight Diane couldn't begin to understand. She felt justified. As the new department manager at Horizon Marketing, Diane had inherited a struggling team. Thomas was clearly the weak link, constantly distracted, unreliable, and withdrawn. The company needed results, not excuses. That evening, Diane drove home feeling uneasy despite her certainty she'd made the right call. The image of Thomas's face, not angry but utterly defeated, haunted her. She pushed the thought away. Business was business. The next morning brought unseasonably heavy rain. Diane was running late, dashing toward the hospital entrance for her annual physical when she noticed a small figure huddled on a bench beneath the covered walkway. A child, a little girl no more than 8, sat alone, arms wrapped around her knees, wearing pajamas beneath a raincoat. Are you okay? Where are your parents? Diane asked, alarmed to find a child alone outside the hospital. The girl looked up, her eyes red from crying. My dad's inside. He told me to wait here because they don't let kids in that part. But he's been gone so long. Something about the child's face struck Diane as familiar, the shape of her eyes, the determined set of her jaw. Her heart stopped when she noticed the worn teddy bear clutched in the girl's arms. It was identical to the one in the photo Thomas had carried on his desk. What's your name, sweetie? She asked, though she already knew the answer would change everything. Emma Bailey, the girl sniffled. My dad's Thomas. He's the best dad ever, but he's really worried about my treatments. The doctors say I need special medicine for my heart, but it's really expensive. The ground seemed to shift beneath Diane's feet. Thomas wasn't lazy or uncommitted, he was a father trying to care for a seriously ill child while keeping his job. The late arrivals, the disappearances, the distraction, it all made terrible sense now. Diane sat beside Emma, learning the full truth in broken fragments. Thomas's wife had died 2 years ago. Emma had been diagnosed with a rare heart condition 6 months back. The treatments required constant hospital visits, often with little notice when Emma's symptoms worsened. Thomas had been running himself ragged, trying to balance being both parents to Emma while maintaining his career, the job that provided the insurance Emma desperately needed. And yesterday, Diane had taken that away. When Thomas emerged from the hospital doors, his eyes went wide with shock seeing his former boss sitting with his daughter. The look of protective fear that flashed across his face cut deeper than any reprimand Diane had ever received. What are you doing here? He asked, voice tight with emotion. Before Diane could answer, Emma piped up. Dad, this is the lady from your work. She was keeping me company. The conversation that followed was the most difficult of Diane's career. There, in the hospital cafeteria while Emma colored with crayons provided by a sympathetic nurse, Thomas explained everything he'd been too proud and too private to share at work. He hadn't wanted special treatment or pity. He'd tried so hard to keep his professional and personal lives separate, to protect Emma from knowing how precarious their situation had become. I was going to tell you, he said quietly. I had a meeting scheduled with HR next week to discuss family medical leave options. But I guess that's irrelevant now. Diane felt shame wash over her. In her drive to prove herself as a manager, she'd failed to consider the humanity of the person sitting across from her. She'd seen only performance metrics, not the man fighting a private battle far more important than quarterly reports. That evening, Diane couldn't sleep. By morning, she'd made her decision. It took 3 meetings with upper management, 2 with HR, and 1 very humble apology, but by the end of the week, Thomas was reinstated with accommodations for Emma's care schedule. Diane even established a company-wide policy review regarding support for employees with caregiving responsibilities. But the story doesn't end with just a job restored. Over the following months, Diane became part of Emma and Thomas's support system. She organized department volunteers to provide meals during Emma's hospital stays. She adjusted project timelines to accommodate Thomas's most crucial family obligations. Most importantly, she learned to lead with empathy first. 6 months later, when Emma rang the ceremonial bell signaling the end of her treatment protocol, the entire department was there to celebrate. Thomas, with tears in his eyes, thanked the team that had become like family. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives open doors to the best changes, he said, his arm around his daughter's shoulders. Emma's illness taught me what truly matters. And Diane's willingness to see beyond her first judgment taught me that it's never too late for a second chance. Today, Thomas leads the company's newly formed Family Support Initiative, helping other employees navigate similar challenges. Diane was promoted to executive leadership, where she advocates for workplace policies that recognize employees as whole people with lives beyond office walls. And Emma? She's thriving in school, her heart condition managed, planning to become a doctor, just like the ones who fixed my heart. The harshest judgments we make are often based on the smallest fraction of someone's reality. The person you dismiss today might be fighting battles you cannot see. The employee who seems distracted might be carrying burdens that would break you. Leadership isn't about enforcing rules, it's about seeing humanity even when it's hidden behind professional facades. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Remember, a little understanding can change not just one life, but many. Sometimes, our greatest mistakes lead to our most important lessons, if we're brave enough to make them right.